Hi, and welcome once again to Professor Black's History. Of course, we always come to you from the shadows until African American and Black history is put more prominently into history textbooks. March is Women's Month, and with that we have four great women we're telling you about this month. Today we're talking about Aunt Clara Brown, the angel of the Rockies. Most of the time when we think about the settlement of the West, we think about the cowboys. But women played a real strong part in the settlement of the West. Aunt Clara Brown was one of those women. Now her story should also inspire you to do great things. Aunt Clara Brown was born a slave in Virginia, and she became a community leader, a philanthropist, I have a hard time with that word sometimes, and aided the settlement of former slaves during the Colorado Gold Rush. You probably never heard of Aunt Clara Brown, but let me tell you a little bit about her. Being, like I said, born a slave in Virginia, she grew up on the plantation and got married at 18, and her and her husband had 4 children. One of the little children died when she was very small. She had a set of twin girls, and one of those children died, so she ended up with 3 children. But then the owner of the plantation died, and to settle his debts, they sold off the slaves, and he sold her family off to different plantations. So she lost her whole family. And she was sold to a plantation owner in Kentucky, and she moved to Kentucky and lived there until she was 56 years old, when she was freed because the owner at that time passed away, and he had put in his will that she should be freed when he died. But she was freed at 56, and there was a law in Kentucky that meant she had to leave the state. So she left Kentucky and she worked her way to Colorado, working on wagon trains as cook and laundress. She got out to Colorado and she settled into what is now Central City, Colorado. She settled there, and she had a laundry, and of course she cooked, and she made some decent money, and she was able to buy property, and she bought mines, and she also saved a lot of money. So she had about $10,000 in the bank, which at that time was a lot of money, especially for an African American woman. Probably the first African American woman that entered into that area of the Colorado Gold Rush. But at the end of the Civil War, she was able to go and look for her family. She sold everything, all of her properties and everything, and she went to look for her family, and she started off in Kentucky. She did not find her daughters or her son. Her son and her husband actually had died, she found out, but her daughter she did not find. But she found other family members and other ex-slaves who she sponsored to go to Colorado, and they went to Colorado. She even helped them get settled and helped them with jobs. So she was very instrumental in helping a lot of people. She finally did find her daughter, Eliza Jane, and her granddaughter, and they moved to Colorado with her and stayed with her until she died at the age of 85. She was actually born on January 1st in 1800, so she was New Year's Eve miracle person because she survived all those years. But she came from being a slave and being one of the most respected women in the West, and especially in the state of Colorado. When she passed away, dignitaries were at her funeral, dignitaries of the state of Colorado. So Aunt Clara Brown is a person that you really need to check out. Of course, I'm not here to give you a whole history lesson, just give you a few names you can check out. Check this one out, Aunt Clara Brown, the angel of the Rockies. We'll talk to you next time here on Professor Black's History. And by the way, make sure you tell your friends, because we're trying to get this thing a buzz so that we'll have more people viewing it and more people interested in Black and African American history.